goodness, it's been a while since I've been down here. It's so loud. You have to get a special invite to this tavern. We're in the secret tavern in Valdraken.
Super secret.
So the secret is, guys, coming close, okay?
Gotta whisper it.
Yep, there's a password. In the regular tavern, all you gotta do, there's a statue that guards the entrance, and you gotta bow to the statue.
/bow.
Get right in. Yep, that's it. All right. So thank you for coming. A very exclusive club down here in the secret tavern in Valdraken. We're here to clean up a little bit. I had to seal up the cave because we're going on the great adventure in the War Within.
I've had to set aside, well, not set aside, but I've had to get specific people in order to manage specific assets for us to go on a wonderful adventure together again, Jordan. Again, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I know. Another new expansion full of wonder, full of glyphs, full of dynamic flight, full of all kinds of new stuff. We're going to get a little bit into that later in the podcast. So a little bit of a shorter week. There's been a little bit of lull in the game. You guys may have noticed coming up to the War Within. Everybody's kind of taking a little bit off, which we'll talk a little bit coming up. Nick, what do we have to expect this week?
Yep, you're absolutely right, Jordan. This week is going to be a little shorter. And again, it is due to that lull in between expansions. But for our standard content this week, we do still have some hotfixes, class changes. But this week's coming discussion, we changed it to the upcoming expansion, The War Within. And to wrap it all up, we have some amazing Tavern Talk topics. We're talking about the new Alleria trailer that dropped, our plans for launch, and someone special is coming on for a Sylvanas episode. Stay tuned to hear who that is.
Yeah, pretty exciting.
I am so excited for that Sylvanas episode. I am mind blown. If people have followed our Twitter and watched who we've been talking to a lot, they'll know. But if they haven't, they're not going to know.
Well, we're going to tell them a little bit here.
No, well, I mean, they're going to know if they listen all the way to Tavern Talk. But I am blown away with just not like we're brand new still, but the fact that someone wants to come on and talk about such an amazing character that they to give a hint cosplay as, like, I am so excited.
Yeah, it could be. I'm interested to see. We have a lot of ideas for guests. I can't say too much more than that. We'll talk a little bit more about our Sylvanas guests later, but we do have lots of plans for guests in the future.
We do. Jordan, why don't you start us off with this week's episode about telling us what you did this week, even though I know it's a lull week for both of us.
I did Heroic Avarice twice, actually. Once on my Mage and once on my Evoker. Of course, no Legendary. I mean, I wouldn't even really matter at this point, to be honest with you. I would almost be more mad if they dropped it for me at this point. It was fun to send it off. This content won't be relevant for a long time until they make a time walking version of it or something like that. So it was fun to do Avarice. I wanted to do all three of them, but I only ended up doing Avarice because I played a lot of Amir Giselle recently, and then I just didn't want to deal with Incarnates, so I didn't. So then in Dungeons, I only did a couple of Mythics this week, a couple of keys with the Legend Sully as usual. I wasn't able to get around to the Guild Week, unfortunately, for the keys.
You were, like you said, we've had a slower week. But I think you and I both have allowed ourselves to enjoy touching grass.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for baseball, so I went to some more Major League Baseball games on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, well, that's because hockey's not going on.
No, I can't wait.
You and I are both hockey fiends.
Hockey fiends. But moving on to, Nick, what did you squeeze in this week?
I did no raiding, no dungeons, no PvP, no Panda remix, no Cataclassic, but Jordan and I are happy to announce that we have talked about adding some extra content besides our standard episodes to our YouTube channel, and that is that I've restarted a Human Priest, not because I died again, but rather we're starting this new series on YouTube. Join the fun as I adventure through Azeroth with permadeath. I am trying to keep each episode to 30 minutes to an hour in length, and we're uploading on Fridays at 3 p.m. I figured it would be something fun to do, and Jordan agreed with me that we would, hang out, come join the fun. We're going to see how long this priest lasts. We are playing a human priest because they get the bonus buff of spirit. Like, it's just nice. And
They
sometimes I
can
kind of
heal
want to play the
themselves.
other. Yeah. And I kind of want to play the other side. I also got bored of Paladin for once. So join the fun.
You want to play the
Fridays
other
at 3
side.
p.m. The first episode is going up this Friday. And we'll be doing it until that that priest dies. And when it does, if there is a different challenge you want me to run, whether that is self-found or a
Oh
specific
God.
class, or if it is, oh, we're gonna run priest but fists only. Okay, let's do it. Like, yeah, give me the craziest stuff to run
Yeah,
in
torture him.
yeah,
Torture him.
in hardcore classic, and we're gonna do that. So we're starting with really no real challenge other than hardcore, and we're gonna see how far we can make it. Right now, the high score is level 22 on a paladin for me personally. The goal is to try to make it to 60, and we'll see what happens after that. We are gonna include dungeons. We're gonna do raids if we get to that point. Like, we're doing it all. It's unfiltered. It's just fun. So, Jordan, why don't you tell us about the Guilds Week?
Well, we had a week off, pretty chill. We are also going to be taking next week off as well to prepare for the War Within. Obviously, there might be people hanging out or whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
But there's no organized event. Like, I'm not expecting you to sign up for keys or
No.
do anything like that. Like, we're just going to hang out. If a couple of people want to do dungeons, if they need, to get closer to 480 or something, or a pre-patch event
Yeah.
to cap something before. And so something we're going to talk about later is whether or not there might be affixes or not. They don't have an official announcement at the end of when the end of season 4 is going to be.
Yeah.
We might have 2 days of affixes and still an ability to get KSM. Now, hold up, guys that are thinking you have a couple more days. I don't know. We could reset on Tuesday, and then we're just in base Dragonflight again. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too, is it's because and we don't know. We don't have any like insider information kind of crap. But
not yet.
No, well, we are going to go through the affixes of what they would be standard if they follow the schedule. But hey, if they're doing KSMs and you guys want to hit us up, let's do it. Like, we'll push.
Yeah.
Join our community and let us know when we're online, and we'll get some of the guild members to help out and go get your KSM if it's available. And even if it's not, and we run mythics and you still get some with us, awesome. That's what that's what we're wanting to build.
Yeah, either way, or have a new crew to roll with up into the new expansion. But moving forward, we're going to talk more about the affixes and a couple of recaps for all that later. So, Nick, would you bring us into some hot fixes for the week?
Already. Start off with retail. For items, Bloody Token are now capped at 200,000 tokens. For professions, the Artisan's Acuity reagent costs for rare and epic profession tools and accessories may now only be provided by the customer for crafting orders. Moving on to quests, Squally can now be summoned from your pet journal when Griffins of a Feather is completed. Moving into Season of Discovery, the following spells will no longer incorrectly reset their cooldowns after a boss is defeated. Pharaoh Spirits on Shaman, Icy Veins on Mage, Portal of Summoning on Warlock, Berserk on Druid, Ancestral Guidance on Shaman, Avenging Wrath on Paladin, Dispersion on Priest, Homunculi on Priest, Eye of the Void on Priest, Pain Suppression on Priest, Shadow Fiend on Priest. Don't worry, we're done with Priest.
On Priest.
On Priest. Enraged Regeneration on Warrior. Also, the percent increase to player health that is present in Warsong Gulch and Arathi Basin is now also active in Alterac Valley. Moving into items for Season of Discovery, Shard of the Gods summoned minion is now a 20-yard cone, previously it was 40, and will spend the first 3 seconds of its summon to run into range of the target. Moving to quests inside Season of Discovery, Staff of Ancients Demon NPC will now respawn much more quickly. I
wanted to touch just a little bit on the Bloody Tokens because they are focusing a lot more of the... Like, there's going to be 2 ways to PvP gear. There's going to be the Bloody Tokens, which are, the world PvP kind of stuff where you go and do the events and you maybe Murder Alliance players, maybe you just go where nobody goes and just do the event.
Is
right?
that where you gank people?
Yeah, that's where you're incentivized to, yes.
No, I like it.
And so they took out a separate currency for this and made it all bloody tokens, which we talked about that in the last episode. And
Yep.
so increasing the cap of the bloody tokens only makes sense.
Right.
Because now they want you to be able to store a ton of bloody tokens, a ton of conquest, for example, and then be able to tier yourself however you want. And then I just thought the Season of Discovery things were funny, like how many spells were resetting after bosses. That's just kind of crazy. Sorry, Priest. You can't just cheese boss resets now, I guess. But anyway, on to class changes, Nick. I pulled us away far enough.
Jordan, I think you're absolutely correct on the increasing of bloody tokens and their availability to players. So, for retail, Unholy Death Knight fixed an issue with Festering Might not overlapping. Retribution Paladin, which I think they need to fix a lot more when it comes to the War Within. There were still a lot of decreases in the prior episode, but fixed an issue causing Radiant Glory to trigger more than intended. So, stop. Oh, you removed free triggers? Come on.
No, there's one more. Read the next one.
For Fury Warrior, Wrath and Fury is now correctly increasing Raging Blow damage.
Because we didn't do enough already. We need more.
It wasn't broken enough.
Wasn't broken enough.
Moving into Season of Discovery, Mage Arcane Barrage now has mana cost correctly reduced by clear casting. Pyroblast from Hot Streak will no longer consume clear casting. 100% crit chance from Fire Blast from Overheat will no longer count towards Combustion 3's crits and will no longer increase stack of combustion. For Paladin, Divine Light now has an 8-second cooldown. Rogue, Main Gouge, will now correctly be consumed when you parry an attack, regardless of the type of enemy you are fighting. Focus attacks now refund 2 energy from critical strikes. Prior was 3. Envenom's erroneous spell power ratio has been removed. For Shaman, Shamanistic Rage now grants the rest of the party and raid 18% of the mana granted from the Shaman. Prior was 10. It's a very nice 8% increase, almost double. Developers note the change was made to better equalize mana provided to parties and raids between Horde and Alliance. For Warlock, Warlock's pet will now correctly benefit from Fel Armor's increase to their master spell power. Jordan, that wraps it up for our class changes. Do you have anything to comment?
Yeah, it's a little interesting because there's so many changes at this point. I don't know, the line is blurred where was it a bug that was originally in like a classic experience, or was it something that broke when they merged the servers, or is it because the runes aren't working right? So it's there's a lot of weird, awkward fixes all over the place in here.
There are. But I think that it's for the best overall. I think they are trying to make Season of Discovery always more fun and enjoyable. I haven't played it, so I don't know, but that's what it always sounds like they're trying to do is make it evenly distributed like they are with the Shaman, as well as more enjoyable for everybody else. But Jordan, will you take us into the coming week for World of Warcraft?
Well, absolutely. I've been really excited. I bet this is the section everybody's waiting for. But the War Within comes out next week.
Yes, I'm so
excited. Excuse me, at the time of listening, it'll be this week.
It's going to be so good.
Yeah. So remember that we're just doing a little bit of a recap, and we talked about a lot of this stuff in depth or in earlier episodes. So definitely go back if you're interested in like the Xalatath Affixes or exactly what the keys are going to work like. Definitely take a look at our last 2 to 3 episodes where we cover a lot of the War Within news as it comes out.
Yep, I believe it was episode 14. We talked about the new affixes coming.
Yep, and where they were going to place them and things like that.
Yes.
So this is just a little bit of a recap section we're going to go over in case you just want to know the dates and you don't want to go back and learn the specifics and you want to get run it dry, for example, then this is just a quick summary of some things that would be good to know. So the early access comes out on Thursday, August 22nd. This is mostly a leveling time. You'll be able to level. You'll be able to do some basic profession things. You won't have the big unlocks, like the big gems won't be able to be crafted yet. It is it's a very basic, it's like you get half of what you would normally get on an expansion launch. Things like normally they have heroic dungeons on launch day. but you won't. There's only normal dungeons on this early access phase. We won't even be able to get heroic gear or anything like that.
Yep.
So the global launch, so the whole world gets access on Tuesday, August 26th. And this is when heroic dungeons unlock. This is when you'll start to be able to max up your professions. You'll start to see what the end of your character might begin to look like. Remember, beginning of an expansion, craftables are broken right now. So always get your crafting up as soon as you can. Helps with money later, too. But then obviously we have the expansion drop. We have all the new dungeons that you'll be able to rotate on normal. We did talk about earlier that the heroic dungeons will be on the mythic rotation, though. So you'll only be able to do in heroic the dungeons that are in the mythic pool, which, talking about when the mythic pool will come out and when we'll be able to do these mythic plus keys. Season 1 of The War Within starts on Tuesday, September 10th. This is when you get Mythic Zeros, and then the Mythic Plus key system unlocks. The dungeons we will have during this, for Heroic, Mythic, and Mythic Plus, the new dungeons they'll be featuring are Arakara, the City of Echoes, the City of Threads, the Stone Vault, and the Dawnbreaker are the new ones. The returning dungeons are Mists of Tyrannus Scythe, the Necrotic Wake, Siege of Borealis, and Grim Batol. We talk a little bit more about our opinions on these dungeons, but these are the facts. They're coming back. That's our Season 1 pool. There is the new... It'll be fine.
It'll be all right.
I might dodge Grim Batol for a while, but
yeah.
So talking about the affixes, once all these mythic and these keys start coming out, keep in mind this key structure is not necessarily set in stone. They can make changes to this however they want, but we do talk about all the specifics of all these affixes in a past episode. At 2, you get Xal'atath's Bargain. This is 2 affixes that rotate. You get either Fortified or Tyrannical, one of them. At 7 key level, you get Challenger's Peril, which is the increased death type or the increased penalty for deaths. At 10, then you get the opposite, whatever Fortified or Tyrannical you didn't have. And then at 12, you do not have to deal with Xal'atath's Bargain anymore, but you get Xal'atath's Guile. There's a new raid coming out that will be coming out on the September 10th. It is called Narubar Palace.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm very excited. I'm trying to hold my excitement. I'm trying to hold my excitement for this. I'm a big raider, so this is what I'm here for. The first wing of the Elfar will be available immediately on launch day, on the 10th of the raid, which is a little bit different. Normally, they hold it a week. On the 10th, you will be able to do the dungeon in its entirety on normal and heroic. They are deciding to wait 1 week on releasing the mythic, and it will be coming out on the 17th, Tuesday, the 17th of September. So I'm really excited. I
am too. I am so pumped for this new raid.
Like I said, I don't want to talk about it too much. Not going to spoiler it till we know a little bit more what is set in stone, but I think it's going to be a great raid. I don't know if it's going to be as cool as Amir Dracel, but I'm really excited for it. So actually, Nick, you actually mentioned you've been doing a couple of things with a place called the Warcraft Tavern, is it called? Will you tell us a little bit about your article you posted recently on there?
So I just started recently writing for Warcraft Tavern. My first article that I output, which we'll link in the description, was Raids, Dungeon, PvP, and Delves, the major changes coming to the War Within. And it goes through all the big things that we're going to see when it comes to what we've seen through the pre-patch and what we're going to see with our new expansion. So like what Jordan just talked about when it came to all the new affixes and when they're going to be hitting us when it comes to the key levels, all that type of stuff is in there, plus more. Feel free to check it out.
No, I definitely actually only really took a look at that website when you started writing for them, and they have a lot of really cool articles on there.
They do.
A couple of really cool writers.
It's a really good organization. I'm happy to be a part of it, and I hope to keep writing more stuff for them.
Yeah, definitely check them out, guys. But moving forward to events, not a whole lot to talk about here. We have the Gravity Lapse ending. And then the Comp Stomp begins for the PvP brawls. So the Comp Stomp is kind of goofy. This is the perfect one for the lull in the game. This is the one where you queue in the group finder and then you face a group of AI opponents. And so this is a little bit interesting. I don't know how relevant this is going to be. I did want to talk about the expected affixes anyway. They haven't talked about specifically whether or not KSM and these affixes will be relevant coming up on today and tomorrow. So Tuesday and Wednesday, the 20th and 21st. But it's a Fortified, Incorporeal, and Sanguine. I'm not going to dive too much into it. But if they do allow us to do Mythic Plus dungeons for those 2 days. I imagine there's no reason why you couldn't get KSM for those 2 days.
Right.
And then once the early access drops, I'm pretty sure all bets are off.
Oh, well,
As we transition to the War Within, no mythic dungeons anymore.
right,
mythic
but I don't
quests.
know. Would they cut it
No
off?
heroic dungeons.
Would they cut it off for those that have early access?
I think they cut it off for everybody, whether you have early access or not.
Well,
I'm just saying they could do a couple of things here. Who knows?
right. No, they could, and we could speculate for fucking days. So,
But either way, if they do decide to, however long, they let it do Tuesday, Wednesday, if let it go through all the way through the week, which I don't see them doing that. But who knows? Then it'll be fortified, incorporeal, and sanguine. So moving into... Though I actually did talk with our legendary songwriter, Sarita, and we do have a Tavern Talk intro coming here.
yeah, I am so excited for that.
Yep, not this episode, but we're getting a couple of them. We're getting a couple of transition pieces too. So I'm pretty excited for it.
Yes. Oh, she's going to do more than just a Tavern Talk?
I've been doing a couple for us.
Oh, dude. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so shout out to Sarita. So anyway, we have to do
work. If
you
haven't checked out her SoundCloud, it's linked in every one of our episodes, whether it's Spotify or YouTube. She does amazing work. She busted our intro out like in front of us within like 5-10 minutes. It was insane.
Absolutely insane. But Tavern Talk.
For now, let's just our voices.
For now, that's our intro. All right. So Nick, you had a really cool idea actually for what we were going to take a drink to today. What? You want to bring us through a little bit about what we're taking a drink for?
Yeah, Jordan. As we come into a new expansion, I think that our toast should be not to a character or something we love in Warcraft itself, but rather the adventure that every single player has been on and that their characters have been on and the people that they have met through the years they've played or days they've played. Because every person goes through a different evolution of Warcraft. And I'm not talking they started a different expansion. I'm talking that they always play a different style. Every person does. And you and I have, whether it's personally or not, through this world, done a lot in the 35 years combined for us. 15 me, 20 you. The people we've met, the experiences we've had. Let's have a toast to that and every other player's just their experience in this amazing world that we've been able to play in,
and the new players to come.
Yes, and all those that we have yet to meet. Like it's just an ever expanding universe. It's why I call it the forever game, because it is, and it is for a good reason.
They have a 20-year plan. It ain't going anywhere.
No, dude, I love it. I love this game to my core. The people I've met, like I met people when I was in high school playing this game that are still lifelong friends I talk to today. And that's been 10 years.
Right. I can't be the only one.
No, you're not. No, you're not. I'm talking people that like are in Canada, in other countries that I met when I was in high school that I have been such great friends to myself. And I wouldn't give anything for that. Like I have met some amazing people on this journey. And let's have a toast to that journey that every single player, whether past, future, and present.
Yeah, to the players of World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
All right.
Now
that we're done crying, we're done being sappy. Now that we're all fine and back, we're going to talk about the new Alleria cinematic.
Oh my God, I can't wait. You do you want to start it off?
No, you start it. You
go. You
want me to start it?
Yeah, I did. I had the whole sappiness. I just went on a 5-minute tangent on our journey in Warcraft.
I'll start it.
You start this the first
I'll
time.
critique it. So the only thing I didn't like about this cinematic was that some of the events that they summarize in here were kind of grossly generalized, is the word I will use. There's a lot of more complicated things that went into some of Alleria's experience that they summarize in this animation that there may have been a way to portray a little better. I don't know. But other than that, it was awesome. Like it was totally accurate to the new elf lore that they essentially solidified with the Sylvanas book. So, and it was beautiful, and it really makes you at least feel a little bit like in 5 minutes, right? How much can you explain Alleria in 5 minutes, right?
Right. Well, that's why I think they had to skim over some stuff,
And they did.
which
But
is
it was a
fine.
beautiful animation,
Oh my
and I
god,
like
so good.
when she loses her mind and this Terrellian's look. Anyway, what did you like about it or dislike? What did you like about
I liked absolutely the whole thing. I thought it was amazing. I had goosebumps as it continued. Like it just got worse, goosebump wise for me. I think it was outstanding to cover what they did in 5 minutes and like 30 seconds or whatever it was. To do Aurelia in that, I was like, okay, I'm back on the hype train for the war thing. Let's go. Oh my God, let's do this. Please drop it tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. We gotta wait 2 days
Yeah.
to get it. But
But oh my, it was I thought they did a fantastic job. It really reminded me of to kind of branch on it. It really reminded me of the same art style that guys who do D&D at a higher scale and they stream it and they now have a TV show, Critical Role.
well,
It reminded me of the same art style that Critical Role does for their Amazon series, which is amazing if you haven't seen it. It's
I
not
haven't. I've
child
never
friendly.
actually heard of it.
It's
Oh, okay.
it's so good. Like it's a legit D&D table animated. Amazing. Highly recommend it. But I was like, oh my God, could we please get that, but World of Warcraft? Holy shit, that would be amazing. Like an adult animated series that is true to the story. Yeah, let's do it. Like that's where my
Well, I
mind
think,
went.
well, MMO has to be a certain amount of kid friendly, if that makes sense. You
No.
gotta have the grinders, and kids are great grinders.
I'm
Oh
gonna
my
go
God.
back to the average age of gamers are like males and in their 30s. Like statistically, that's what I believe.
Well, these are the only single guys in their 30s were the only guys that could afford computers back then.
Well, right, okay, that is an old statistic. Don't get me wrong, but I have no idea where it's at now. But yeah, no, like I mean, I don't
No,
know.
kids
I
have
mean,
absolutely decimated the gaming industry. I really like the cinematic. They're using so many art styles and so many ways to portray the vision. It's just really cool to watch them be so creative with how they're going to portray the story. And I'm a little disappointed in this because I'm a big book reader, but they are kind of stepping away from the book way of storytelling. They're doing things like short stories. They're doing things
Yeah.
like these animated shorts.
they are.
Which, to be honest with you, whether I like it or not, I do think that's going to appeal to a 2024 game a lot better than,
Well, I
hey,
think
go read a book.
so. I think something that would be great, and continuing with that same aspect of it not being for for it being for a 2024 audience and go forward, would be a series for these characters, and not a 5-minute episode or a short story like you're saying, but a
Like
multi
a Netflix original.
Well, no, I'm not even saying a Netflix original, like whether it's Amazon, Netflix, whoever they use to do the disbursement of it, or even themselves on their own YouTube. Like, that's fine. That's how they've done a majority of their stuff. But even like a 30, 40-minute episode of like, hey, this is Sylvanas, this is Aurelia, this is Tyrion, like however it is, right? Or whoever they use or want to do. I think that would be amazing. They don't ever have to like overlap and be a full on story, but it's like, hey, this is the base lore we're going to use for this character going forward. Because as you and I have both mentioned in episodes prior, the Sylvanas book has changed up a little bit of how Sylvanas is in herself and a little bit of other people's history.
It's a really, really complex idea you bring up because they have, like, Warcraft has an enormous part of the YouTube market, like all the lore episodes, all the creative episodes. Like, they could really do something nobody else has done and make a decently well produced representation of these characters. It's just, if it's going to be cheap, it's going to be like some guy narrating some stock pictures of these guys.
Right.
But because I don't know, thing is that it would reach so many people if they made a well produced YouTube thing. Like, you could just literally go watch this episode. Imagine you tell somebody, if you want to watch the new World of Warcraft series, just log into YouTube. You don't even have to have an account. Just go search for it.
Well, and they have so many people already that follow them alone. And when they launch something, it obviously shoots right up because people who are into the game want to go watch wherever they're posting, right? It makes total sense.
almost makes me wonder why nobody has done it yet. Like, YouTube revenue isn't terrible, and for them, that's just an enormous boon to their game.
Oh, 100%. I think it is a fantastic add-on to, like you had mentioned, instead of, because I don't know how many people are buying their books and actually reading them, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know the stats, but it's a quicker way to reach the audience by developing something of, hey, here's like a 30-40 minute episode of this is this character, here's the lore kind of thing. And I know there's great content creators too that are out there that they could kind of tap to do that. No, I'm not saying us. I'm
They already
saying,
have.
yeah,
They brought
I'm
in
saying they
Noble
have.
to do an episode for them, yeah.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. We'll see. They're just in a unique spot. There's actually a whole documentary out there about how Blizzard really has a unique path compared to every other gaming company out there.
Oh, yeah.
And so they sit in a very unique spot, and I'm interested to see how they explore it. So
Well,
maybe a YouTube video series is the way.
Even if they did a
maybe
full
fixing
Netflix.
their PvP, which I talked about in the last episode about how they're going to have to draw a line in the sand somewhere in PvP.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways they can get into it. I just hope they choose a couple of good ones.
Oh, definitely. I think there's a lot of avenues that they can push in order to reap more benefit out of the entire player base, or even non-player base that they could. I think there's amazing stories that are inside this world that people who don't play or think that it's dumb to play don't know. And that those would make amazing stories to put on Amazon, Netflix, or however you want to publish it. Like, I think it'd be great.
So we could talk about what they could do. We could say we could talk about how they need to make another Warcraft movie all night long.
Oh my God, they need to. Oh.
But we talked about something very, very exciting. One of our favorite characters in World of Warcraft. We have met potentially somebody who is willing to talk about that character. Nick, would you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I am so excited to announce that we have been in talks for the last month about at Dark Lady Cosplay coming on to talk to us about Sylvanas Windrunner and tell us Sylvanas' story from her own perspective. Those that have followed us on Twitter saw the little bit of banter we had back and forth, and she was very excited to want to come on and do that lore episode, do it with us. And we have been talking online through DMs, and we're trying to get the recording done in September. She's a very busy lady, it's fine. Like, she's got cosplay stuff to do, and we don't want to hinder her on what she does as a standard thing, but she's also very excited to come on and talk to us on Sylvanas' story. And she may also do Nathanos as well, but we'll see how that goes.
Oh, Nathanos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What do you think?
That's a spicy story.
Oh, dude, she is so into it. She is so excited to it. Every time we talk when she's open, she is, yeah, I'm still excited. I want to come on. I'm just busy. I'm like, no worries, it's okay. But yeah, so that is our big announcement that we have is we are very excited to have her on and to do that lore episode with her. We are still planning to continue doing more, and if anybody else wants to reach out to us about their favorite characters that have an extensive history with either cosplaying that character or knowing that character, please feel free to reach out. It means that we get people who are making content in this sphere to talk about their characters that they cosplay or that they're their favorites, that they know a lot of history of. And that's what we want. We want this community to thrive with us, and we want to thrive with the community.
It's good for the cosplayer, too, in a way, because it not only solidifies why you're cosplaying as the character.
Oh,
right?
yeah. No, 100%.
I have this whole episode about where I talk about it. You know, it's really kind of cool. No, I went on a podcast and talked about why I, role play as Uther or whoever, right? So it's a good avenue.
Well, and that comes down to, like, I started the Paladin series because I love Paladins. I just love the way that they came to be and the stories that are in there. If I was going to cosplay as anybody, it'd be Tyrion Forgery. I love his story. It is so amazing. And I can understand why other people want to cosplay as other characters. So to let them have the ability to talk about that character they love so much, why not?
I've thought about cosplaying before. I mean, I'm short enough to probably pull off like a Chromie cosplay, but like I don't know if that would be my first choice.
You could do any gnome.
And I can do goblins too, bro.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we do have goblins, but you should do a gnome, I think. No, I'm just
So I
kidding.
could be Gallywix. Money, money, money.
Dude, oh, that who does a good Gallywix? I don't think there's anybody who does a good Gallywix. There's an opening.
There's me.
There's
I'm
me.
the
I do.
goblin.
I
I'm
paint
the
myself
fat goblin
green.
with the bling. Well, I think we talked about it enough. Very excited about our soon collab.
Oh, I have been excited for a month and a half about this collab. Like I've been dying to tell our listeners about it. I am so excited. And I'm over the moon about her coming on. She's gonna do great. I believe it.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, she already knows who the best character is. So.
Oh yes, she knows she is the best war chief.
So let's wrap this up.
Jordan, with all that said, what are your plans for the launch of the War Within?
Well, I'm gonna pump that mage. I'm gonna mage.
Yeah, you're gonna go mage. Hold on,
and then
you're gonna step away from being the standard warrior I've known for umpteen years, and you're gonna start doing trigonometry in a raid
every day.
Every day.
My mage is breaking new ground, discovering new arcane pathways.
You're just huffing that arcane.
And then, of course, the Evoker. The Evoker's coming up, too. It's just too much fun. I just like it too much.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. It's always about what you like playing, in my eyes.
And then once we get some gear, because I'm probably going to end up pushing the Mythics or the rating on the Mage. And then the Evoker will be the, off stuff when other people are coming up. I'm going to be bringing the Evoker along, and then the Warrior. I mean, it'll get capped not too long. I can't resist the Warrior for too long.
No, I know you can't.
I'm gonna be all over the place though. I don't know. I'm gonna try and do all the professions, so that's gonna be the crazy part. Is I have all the characters set up to do every profession, so I'm gonna try to do that.
Do it all.
Whole reason why I have a druid and a demon hunter and my priest, my bank tunes capped now.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of plans.
Your bank tunes capped?
Yeah, I know. No. I forgot. I should have admitted that. Well, too late.
Why?
It's bad practice. Don't cap your bank tune. Don't play on your bank tune. It's a bad practice.
Especially if you're playing hardcore. If you go listen to a couple episodes ago, you should never let your bank tune exit the main city.
No, your tunes go to your bank tune in hardcore.
Yes. It should always go. Oh, it's such a hard
Anyway, some lessons are learned the hard way, So Nick, I imagine if I had to guess, you're going to be doing some Ret Pally, right?
Well, I'm going to do all 3 Paladin specs, Jordan. Mainly, I will say mainly Ret Pally. You are right. But I am going to try to keep all 3 of my girls pushing in the same direction at the same rate. But I will say overall,
part of that's impossible.
It's hard, yeah. But Red is going to be my main. Zara is my main girl. The rest of them, I'm not going to let them fall to the wayside, is what I'm saying.
Right.
When we get the chance to, when I can tank at a lower rate because guildies want to come up, great. I'm going to get on Zara Bell. When I can do healing, I'll get on Zarya. That's what it's going to be. But I'm going to try to push them as much as possible as well. Because I'd like for them at the end of this expansion to all be top tier, and I'm still trying to learn the paladin tanking and the paladin heal spec to be effective, extremely effective as I am when it comes to Rat Pally. I want to be to that level with those 2 as well. So I am the cream paladin.
With that, I think we're gonna call it there. Another episode of the Valley of Spirits. Nick, would you send us out?
Yeah, Jordan, I can send us out. Thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode of the Valley of Spirits. We're your hosts, Jordan and Nick, your go-to Horde players. Join us in Valdrakken on the Mal'Ganis server and look up our guild, the Electric Boogaloo, for some epic adventures. Stay connected with us on social media. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or as X as it's known these days, by searching the Valley of Spirits podcast. Don't miss out on our latest episodes, behind the scenes content, and more on YouTube. Until next time, may your quest be glorious and your loot be plentiful. And as always, for the Horde!